शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्ज सम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யஹம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति यत्तमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോറും പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we'll just do a quick review of 36. Gayatri, can you do one half? Gayatri, Ramesh, and then Malini, will you be able to do it? 36 one half.
I was not there last class because I was out of the country, so I couldn't get time to practice that. Yeah.
Anyone else who wants to do?
I can do.
Rajesh
Kritika can do.
I also can do.
Okay, so Kritika, Ratiji, you want to
Full
do?
பண்ணிச்சு.
Okay.
Full நானே படிக்கட்டுமா?
இல்ல, Ratiji is doing half. You do, Kritika do half, Ratiji do half.
Okay. Dasakam 36 Parasurama Charitam. अत्रे पुत्रदया पुरा त्वमनुसूयायां हितत्ताभितो जातशिष्यनिबन्धतन्द्रितमनाः स्वस्तश्चरन् कान्तया दृष्टो भक्ततमेन हे हयमहि पालेन तस्मै वरान् अष्टैश्वर्यमुखान् प्रताय ददित स्वेनैव शान्ते वदम्.
Kritika, on the third line, after Palena, there is a comma, okay? The third line. Ehayamahi Palena. Yeah.
Palena, okay. सत्यं कर्तुमदार्जुनस्य च वरं तश्चक्तिमात्रानदं ब्रह्मद्वेषि तदाखिलं नृपकुलं हन्तुं च भूमेर्परं सञ्जातो जमदग्निदो भृगुकुले त्वं रेणुकायां हरे रामो नाम तदात्मजेष्वपरजः पित्रोरदा सम्मदं लप्तां नायगनश्चतुर्थसवय गन्धर्वराजे मनाक् आसक्तां किल मादरं प्रदिपिदुः क्रोधाकुलस्याज्ञया दादाज्ञादिकसोदरैः सममिमां चित्वादसान्दात्पिदुः देशां जीवनयोगमापितवरं मादा च दोतात्परान्
Te tadvaran, last word.
माता च देतात्वरान्. Okay.
Yeah.
पित्रा मातृमुदे तवाहृत वियते नोर्निजादश्रमात् प्रस्तायादभृगोर्गिराहिमगिरौ आरात्य गौरीपदिं लप्त्वात्परशुं ददुक्तदनुजच्चेति महास्त्रादिकं प्राप्तो मित्रमादाकृतव्रणमुनिं प्राप्याहमस्वाश्रमम्.
Kritika, chinna correction. First line, after Matru Mude, there is a comma, okay, in the first line. And then the fourth line, Mitram, the best way to say that is Mitram Atakritavrana Munim.
Mitram Madakritavrnam.
Mitram, when you say it becomes A, the next word. So Mitram Atakritavrana Munim. Yeah.
அப்படி இல்லைன்னா மித்ர மதாக்கிருத விரணமுனி.
Yeah, you can up to that vrana is, see that Atakrita vrana is one name, right? So either you have to say Mitram Atakrita vrana munim or Mitram Atakrita vrana munim.
Okay, சரி. आकेटोपकदोर्जुनः सुरकवि सम्प्राप्त संवत्कनैः वत्पित्रा परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्द्रिवाचा पुनः कां क्रेतुं सचिवं नियङ्गत गुतिया तेनाभिबृन्दन्मुनि प्राणाशेपसरोषको हत प्राणाशेपसरोजको हत चमु चक्रेण वत्सो हृतः.
Stop here. Very good.
शुक्रो जीविततातवाक्यचलित क्रोधोऽथ सख्या समं विप्रध्याथ सहोदरोपनिहितं चापं कुठारं शरान् आरूढः सहवाह यन्त्रकरथं माहिष्मति मा विशन्न वाग्भिर्वत्समदासुषि क्षितिपतौ सम्प्रास्तुता सङ्गरम्.
Retichi, that second line, Vibradhyata, you said Sahodaropa, it's Mahodaropa.
My book's Mahodara, right?
Mahodara, yeah, okay. I heard as Sahodara, so that's why I thought. Okay, Mahodara, yeah.
Putranam ayutena चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महा सेनानीभिरनेकमित्रनिवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः सद्यस्त्वत्ककुठारबाणविदलन् निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीतिप्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापत धेहयः लीलावारितनर्मदा जलवलल्लङ्घेश गर्वापः बहुशस्त्रास्त्रं निरुन्धन्नमुम् चक्रे त्वय्यथ वैष्णवेऽपि विफले बुद्ध्या हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्दं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सोगात् परं ते पदम्.
A third line after the comma, buddhva.
Okay. भूयो मर्षित हेहयात्मजगणैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आघ्नानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन् ध्यानानीतरथायुधस्त्वमकृथा विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिक्चक्रेषु कुठारयन् विशिखयन् निः क्षत्रियां वेदिनीम् तातो जीवनकृन्नृपालककुलं त्रिसप्तकृत्वोज्जयन् सन्तर्प्याथ समन्तपञ्चकमहारक्तह्रदौघे पितॄन् यज्ञेक्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान् न स्यास्त्राणि महेन्द्र भूभृति तपस्तन्वन् पुनर्मज्जितां गोकर्णावधि सागरेण धरणीं दृष्ट्वार्थितस्तापसैः ध्याते श्वास धृतानलास्त्रचकितं सिन्धुं स्रुवक्षेपणात् उत्सार्यो धृतकेरलो भृगुपते वातेश संरक्ष माम्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Very good. So both of you did really well. It's a tough chapter. So, all right. So let's start with 37. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's got like what you call 12 cantos. Cantos is called as Skandam, and within each of that there are multiple chapters within Srimad Bhagavatam. So out of the 12, the whatever is in the first 36 that we saw is covered in the first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam. It's all condensed into this 36. And the 10th canto of Bhagavatam is got about like 6,000 stanzas, which is Krishna Avatar, right? Which is what Bhattaripada is condensed here from Dasakam 37 to Dasakam 88 in Narayaneeyam, right? That's the portion which is condensed here. So this is the beginning of Dashama Skandam. So 37 is Krishna Avatara Prasanga Varnana, which is the prelude to the incarnation as Krishna Avataram, because the Krishna Avataram happens in the 38th Dashakam. So, okay, so first up, Chita Guru, you can be student, and Shashi, you can be student. First up. Stanza 1. Sandhananda tanohare nanupura daivasure sanghare tvatkritta api karma shesha vashato yetena yata gatim तेषां भूतलजन्मनां दितिभुवां भारेण दूरार्दिता भूमे प्राप विरिञ्चमाश्रितपदं देवैः पुरैवागतैः. So the first stanza of first Dashakam also started with Sandranandava. This also starts the middle. This is kind of the middle of it. It starts with Sandrananda Tano Hare. It says, "O Hari, who is nothing but the entire bliss that is there. If you condense it, and then you give it one form, you are that form, right? So you are that condensed bliss." So long time back, which means in the beginning of this, while Krishna's incarnation happened in Dwapara Yuga, but this Asura Devas timeline is different, right? So long time back, the Devas, in the when all this battle that we saw between Asuras and Devas, we saw in 28th Dashakam, 29th Dashakam, we saw Vamana Avataram, we saw all these things, Rama Avataram, where Ravana was gotten rid of. Even though Parashurama got rid of all of the Kshatriyas who were doing bad things, no matter all these things that happened, there were still some bad or evil, really evil Asuras who were still incarnating. And because they still had some residual karmas, right? Because you have to completely eliminate your karma to avoid having rebirth. But there were a lot of these asuras who still had some residual karmas, several of them, right, in Krishna Avataram. So when that was still left, right, so you then decided to incarnate again. Like Krishna himself has said in Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He says, whenever, this bad things are rising up, good things are going down, I will incarnate. So similarly, when all this irreligion was actually happening significantly at that time, so at that time the earth was overburdened, right, with all these asuras doing extremely bad things, and we're going to see a lot of them in Krishna Avataram. So what Mother Earth incarnated, she went and she goes and talks to Brahma and says that that I'm not able to bear this. There are too many evil things which are actually happening in the earth, so you have to help me out. So when I mean they say Mother Earth, it doesn't mean like Earth is taking a form. It is just talking about the ruler. The Manu would have gone, right. So when the Manu is going and talking to Brahma about it, he sees that there are already a lot of devas who are also assembled there, waiting for a meeting with Brahma, who have also come for the same purpose. So Sandra Nanda Tano Hare, comma, Nanupura Daivasure Sangare, comma, Tvatkritta api karma shesha vashato, comma, yete na yata gatim. Sandrananda Tano Hare, Nanupura Daivasure Sangare, Tvatkritta api karma shesha vashato, yete na yata gatim.
सान्द्रानन्ततनोहरे ननुपुरा दैवासुरे सङ्गरे त्वत्कृता अपि कर्मशेषवशतो ये तेन यातां गतिम् सान्द्रानन्ततनोहरे ननुपुरा दैवासुरे सङ्गरे त्वत्कृता अपि कर्मशेषवशतो ये तेन याता गतिम्
सान्द्रानन्दतनोहरे ननुपुरा दैवासुरे सङ्गरे त्वत्कृता अपि कर्मशेषवशतो एतेन याथा गतिम् सान्द्रानन्दतनोहरे ननुपुरा दैवासुरे सङ्गरे त्वत्कृता अपि कर्मशेषवशतो एतेन याथा गतिम्.
The last word, Shashi, gatim, you were stretching the
gati,
T,
okay.
just a small, short E, okay.
Sure.
Tesham bhutala janmanam diti bhuvam, comma, bharena durardita, comma, bhumihi, you can put a F, bhumif prapa virincham ashrita. Virincham is referring to Brahma. Virincham ashrita padam, comma, devaihi, you can put a F to join, devaih puraivagataihi. Tesham bhutala janmanam diti bhuvam bharena durardita bhumeh prapa virinchamashrita padam devaih puraivagataihi.
तेषां भूतलजन्मनां दितिभुवां भारेण दूरार्दिता भूमिः प्राप विरिञ्चमाश्रितपदं देवैः पुरैवागतैः तेषां भूतलजन्मनां दितिभुवां भारेण दूरार्दिता भूमिः प्राप विरिञ्चमाश्रितपदं देवैः पुरैवागतैः
तेषां भूतलजन्मनां दितिभुवां भारेण धूरार्दिता भूमिः प्राप विरिञ्चमाश्रितपदां दैवैः पुरैवागतैः दैवैः पुरैवागतैः तेषां भूतलजन्मनां दितिभुवां भारेण धूरादिता भूमिः प्राप विरिञ्चमाश्रितपदां दैवैः पुरैवागतैः.
And the last line, right? Second last word, devaih.
Devaiः पुरैवागतैः.
Correct.
Okay.
Answer 2. Ha ha durjana bhuri bharamatitam pato nidhau patukam etam palaya hantame vivashatam samprachya devaniman ityade prachura pralapa vivasham alokya dhata mahim devanam vadanani vikshya parito dadhyo bhavantam hare. So when Mother Earth is going and telling Brahma that, that because of all the evil people who are there, Bhumi Bhuri Bharamatitam, I'm crushed by the immense weight, because of all these evil people there, that it feels like it is like the end of the end of the pralayam has come, because there is so much evil going on. And I feel like, that's going to be the end of the civilization itself. And I'm going to get merged into the causal waters. That's how it is feeling. That's the amount of bad things that are going on. So she goes and prays, or Manu, who's there, goes and prays to Brahma, saying, you really need to help me out. And if you don't believe, he says, go ask the Devas, because the Devas have also assembled in front of Brahma. And Devas also seconded, saying that it is true. I think a lot of the Asuras have gotten rid of, but there's still a lot of them who have taken rebirths. And like Kamsa is one of them. Then, of course, the Jaya, Vijaya have taken birth as Shishupala, Dantavaktra. So a lot of these people have taken birth, and they're all causing a lot of havoc. So you really have to help us out. So, like we've seen so many times in the past, whenever any of these people approach Brahma, if Brahma is not able to solve it, the first thing he does is he has to meditate, right? Like we saw even when the first day of his creation, every year, first day, Brahma always goes into meditation. So he says, you know what, I don't have an answer to this. So we are going to go meet the Supreme Lord, and then we're going to go meditate and then see what the Lord has to say. So, ha ha durjana bhuri bhara matitam, comma, pato nidhau patukam. So put a im at the end of that line and a comma, patukam. Next line, the metam becomes etam. Etam palaya hanta me vivashatam, comma, sampricha devaniman. Ha ha durjana bhuri bharamatitam patho nidhau patukam etam palaya hanta me vivashatam sampricha devaniman.
हा हा दुर्जन भूरि भारमतितां पाथो निधौ पातुकाम् एतां पालय हन्त मे विवशतां सम्पृच्छ देवानिमान् हा हा दुर्जन भूरि भारमतितां पाथो निधौ पातुकाम् एतां पालय हन्त मे विवशतां सम्पृच्छ देवानिमान्
हा हा दुर्जन भूरि भारमतितां पातो निधौ पातुकाम् एतां पालय हन्त मे विवशतां सम्पृच्छ देवानिमान् हा हा दुर्जन भूरि भारमतितां पातो निधौ पातुकाम् एतां पालय हन्त मे विवशतां सम्पृच्छ देवानिमान्
Ityadhi prachura pralapa vivasham. So the ma that is there, we're going to break it. Vivasham, put a im, comma. Next word starts with the a. Alokya dhata mahim, comma. Devanam vadanani vikshya parito, comma. Dadyau bhavantam hare. इत्यादि प्रचुर प्रलाप विवशाम आलोक्य धाता महीम देवानां वदनानि वीक्ष्य परितो दद्यौ भवन्तं हरे.
इत्यादि प्रचुर प्रलाप विशाम आलोक्य धाता महीम देवानां वदनानि वीक्ष्य परितो दध्यौ भवन्तं हरे इत्यादि प्रचुर प्रलाप विशाम आलोक्य धाता महीम देवानां वदनानि वीक्ष्य परितो दध्यौ भवन्तं हरे.
The third line, vivasham. I think you were saying something there. Pralapa vivasham.
Vivasham, yeah.
Yeah.
M, right?
Yeah, now you're right. Yes, correct.
इत्यादि प्रचुर प्रलाप विवशाम् आलोक्य धाता महीम् देवानां वदनानि वीक्ष्य परितो दद्यो भवन्तं हरे इत्यादि प्रचुर प्रलापविवशाम् आलोक्य दाथामहीं देवानां वदनानि वीक्ष्य परितो दद्यो भवन्तं हरे.
Stanza 3. ऊचे चाम्बुजभूरमूनैसुराः सत्यं धरित्र्या वचो नन्वस्या भवतां च रक्षणविधौ दक्षो हि लक्ष्मीपतिः सर्वे शर्वपुरःसरा वयमितो गत्वा पयोवारिधिं नत्वा तं स्तुमहे जवादिति ययुः साकं तवाकेतनम्. So when Brahma first he goes into meditation, then he also sees the plight. He also sees the sorry state of affairs which are actually happening there. And he says, oh Manu or Earth, whatever you are saying is right. What the Devas are saying is also right. I myself am able to see all the atrocities that are happening here. And she is the only person who can actually help us out from this is Lakshmi Pati himself, right? So we have to go and meet that Narayana. There's no other choice. So at this time, Brahma along with Sarve Sharva is referring to Lord Shiva. Sarve is referring to all the other devas. So all the devas, Lord Shiva, Brahma, all of them go to meet Narayana. So like I've explained to you all before, there is one Vaikuntham which is outside the Brahmandam, which people generally cannot keep going back and forth. But however, for accessibility to the people which is inside the Brahmandam, there is a Shweta Deepa where the Lord Narayana is lying in the exact same. It's a replica, like I said, like it's a mini Tirupati that is there, right? Like similarly, like that, there is a mini Vaikuntham that is there. So they go to that. They do not go to the main Vaikuntham. So they go there, and there they go, and then they all start singing the praise to the Lord. And then we'll see what happens next. So they all go there to meet Lord Narayana there. Uche Chambuja Bhura Munai Suraha, comma. Satyam Dharitriya Vacho, comma, Nanvasya Bhavatam Cha Rakshana Vidhau, comma, Daksho Hi Lakshmi Patihi. Uche Chambuja Bhura Munai Suraha Satyam Dharitriya Vacho Nanvasya Bhavatam Cha Rakshana Vidhau Daksho Hi Lakshmi Patihi.
ऊचे चाम्बुजभूरमूनयिः सुराः सत्यं दरित्यावचो नन्वस्या भवतां च रक्षणविधौ दक्षो हि लक्ष्मीपतिः ऊचे चाम्बुजभूरमूनयिः सुराः सत्यं दरित्र्यावचो सन्वस्या भवतां च रक्षणविधौ दक्षो हि लक्ष्मीपतिः
ऊंचे भूरमूनये सुराः सत्यं दरिद्र्यावचो नन्वस्या भवतां च रक्षणविदौ दक्षो हि लक्ष्मीपतिः ऊचे चाम्बुजभूरमूनये सुराः सत्यं दरिद्र्यावचो नन्वस्या भवतां च रक्षणविदौ दक्षो हि लक्ष्मीपतिः.
Sarve Sharva Purassara Vayamito, comma, Gatva Payovaridhim, comma, Natva Tam Sthumahe Javaditi Yayuhu, comma, Sakam Tavaketanam. Sarve Sharva Purassara Vayamito Gatva Payovaridhim Natva Tam Sthumahe Javaditi Yayuhu Sakam Tavaketanam.
सर्वे शर्वपुरःसरा वयमितो गत्वा पयोवारिधिं नत्वा तं स्तुमहे जवादिति ययुः साकं तवाकेतनम् सर्वे शर्वपुरःसरा वयमितो गत्वा पयोवारिधिं नत्वा तं स्तुमहे जवादिति ययुः साकं तवाकेतनम्
सर्वे शर्वापुरःसरा वयमितो पयोवारिधिं नत्वा तं स्तुमहे जवादिति ययुः साकं तवाकेतनं सर्वे सर्वा पुरःसरा वयमितो गत्वा पयोवारिधिं नत्वा तं स्तुमहे जवादिति ययुः साकं तवाकेतनम्.
Shashi, the third line, Sharva. I think you are saying Sharva. I'm hearing that. Sarve Sharva.
सर्वे शर्वा
No,
पुरःसरा
you are
यमितो
saying no. You are saying Sharva. You are saying Sharva.
सर्व पुरस्. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
Same question on the last line. Is it tava or tava?
Tava Ketanam.
Thank you.
Stanza 4. ते मुग्धानिलशालिदुग्धजलदे स्थिरं गता सङ्गता यावत् त्वत्पदचिन्तनैकमनसः तावत् सपातोऽज भूः त्वद्वाचं हृदये निशम्य सकलान् आनन्दयन्नूचिवान् आख्यातः परमात्मना स्वयमहं वाक्यं तदा कर्ण्यताम्. So they all go to the Shweta Deepa, they go to the Milky Ocean and they're beating, right? Once they go reach there, so of course they are going to meet. So the way this, and I don't want to get too much into a little bit of technicality here, but for each of this universe, like we said, there are three types of Vishnus. One of this is called as the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the soul of the supreme soul of everybody who's in the universe, right? So that's the person, that's the Vishnu they're going to meet, or Narayana they're going to meet. So when they go there, Bhagavatam says very nicely that the best way to pray to this Narayana is saying Purusha Suktam. So Brahma says in his mind, right? He actually chants the Purusha Suktam. He says Purusham Purusha Suktena Upaste. So the best way to praise you, O Lord, is by saying Purusha Suktam, which again, like we've seen before, is the Virat Swarupam of the Lord at the end of the day. It says that you are there, you are everything, and within you, the entire universe is there, right? And from you, everything came. So you are in everything, and everything is in you. That's the net essence of the Purusha Suktam. That's what Brahma is praying. Everybody is also praying, right? So when Brahma is in the state of trance, right? So he's then able to hear the vibration of the Lord, the message that is actually coming from the Lord. And then, he says, so Brahma doesn't see Narayana in this case, but however, he's hearing that message in his, when he's in the state of trance, and then he communicates. So to the people who are there that I now have heard from the Vishnu himself. So let me tell you what message I have actually got, which is going to come in the next stanza. So he says, I have now gotten the response for the prayers I have done. So te mugdhanila shali dugdha jaladhe stiram. In case you have jaladhe, any of you have a visarga, put a is to join it in that case. Jaladhe stiram gataha, put a is to join. Gatas sangata, that whole line is together, then put a plus. Yavat tvat pada chintanaika manasaha. So there you put a comma, put a visarga comma. Tavatsa patoja bhuhu. Te mugdhanilashali dugdha jaladhe sthirham gata sangata yavat tvat pada chintanaika manasaha tavatsa patoja bhuhu.
ते मुक्तनिलशालिदुग्धजलदे स्थिरं तथा सङ्गता यावत्पत्तदचिन्तनैकमनः तावत् सपाधो पातो जबूः.
Go to that first word. Te mugdhanila shali.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. ते मुग्धानिलशालिदुग्धजलदे स्थिरं गथा सङ्गता यावत्पत्तचिन्तनैकमनः तावत् पाथो जबूः.
Second line, manasaha.
Manasaha. Oh,
Yeah.
Manasaha. Sorry, I put it in the wrong place. Thank you.
ते मुग्धानिलशालिदुग्धजलदीष्टि
Jaladhes.
Okay, जलदेष्टिराम गथा संगथा यावत् त्वत्पादचिन्तनैक मनसा तावत् स पातो जभू ते
And the second line, manasaha is a visarga there.
Okay,
Ultimately, patoja bhuhu is a visarga there.
okay. In my book it says manasas.
And that is we put a visarga and put a comma there because you're pausing there. Yeah.
Manasaha. Okay. And the first line it is te deshtiram, right?
Jaladhes tiram. Yeah.
Deshtiram. Deshtiram, okay. Te mugda nilashali dugda jala deshtiram. Deshtiram gatha sangatha yavat tvatpadachintanaikam manasah tavat sapato jabhuhu.
Second line, that pada, yavat tvat pada, you are saying pada, just pada.
Yavat. Okay. Yavat tvatpadachintanaikam manasah. Okay. Thank you.
Tvadvacham hridaye nishamya, comma, sakalan, you can break at that, now it will be easier, sakalan, ananda yennuchivan, put a in at the end of that line and comma, ananda yennuchivan, comma. Next line, the nakyata becomes akyata. So akyatah, put a F, akyatah paramatmana swayamaham, comma, vakyam tada karnyatam. Twadvacham hridaye nishamya sakalan anandayennuchivan akyatah paramatmana swayamaham vakyam tada karnyatam.
त्वद्वाचं हृदये निशम्य सकलानानन्दयन्नोचिवान् आख्यातः परमात्मना स्वयमहं वाक्यं तदा कर्ण्यताम् त्वद्वाचं हृदये निशम्य सकलानानन्दयन्नोचिवान् आख्यातः परमात्मना स्वयमहं वाक्यं तदा कर्ण्यताम्
Tvadvacham hridaye nishamya sakalananda
You break at that na, sakalan anandayennuchivan.
Okay. Sakalan anandayannuchivan akyatha paramatmana swayamaham vakyam tada karnyatham. Tvadvacham hridaye nishamya sakalan anandayannuchivan akyatah paramatmana swayamaham vakyam tada karnyatham.
The third line after nishamya, the pause is there, okay? Not
Okay.
sakala, okay?
Okay.
Sounds fine. Jane dina dashamaham divishadam bhumescha bhimairnrupaihi takshepaya bhavami yadavakule soham samagratmana deva vrishnikule bhavantu kalaya devanganaschavanau matsevartamiti tvadiya vachanam pato jabhuruchivan. So then Brahma is saying that the Lord himself, directly spoke to me, right? He told me exactly what is going to be happening, and Brahma is now conveying the message. So he conveys it like in first person. So he says that Narayana is saying, I know the sorry state of the affairs. I know the state of the devas and the gods who are suffering from this. So for the removal of all of this, he says, I myself am going to be born, most importantly, in my full complete incarnation, right? So the reason that is important is when you look at all the other previous incarnations, when you look at Vamana Avataram, the presence of the Lord was for a very small portion. He was born, the moment he was born, he became like that small Vamana, a dwarf. Then he immediately went to Mahabali, that act got done, Vamana Avataram is complete. Right? Similarly, all of this, Matsya Avataram, Kurma Avataram, all of those were there for a certain amount of time. And then when you come to this other Narsimha Avataram, then when you come to the other avatars we saw like Kapilopakyanam and Rishabha Yogishwara, he's the Lord, the incarnation was there for a really long amount of time, but then there was only certain things that the Lord was destined to do. So he did not come and kind of change the entire thing, right? There were certain activities that he was doing. The main difference is in Krishna Avataram is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So he himself is coming, he's going to come with a full potency. So there's going to be no excuses, right? That's why something is happening. It's everything is intended as planned. There's nothing that Krishna will not be able to do either. And we'll see that. When we see some of the stories, we'll be like, how is it even possible? Because in Rama Avataram, everything will still happen according to rules, right? Ravana will abduct Sita, Rama will follow the protocols and then go fight with Ravana. In Krishna Avataram, Krishna will have 16,008 people who he will marry to. Not one person will get abducted, right? It's not, that's because he says, I myself, I'm going to come with my full potency. Where he says, not just me. So whenever the avataram happens, especially in Krishna Avataram, he says, not only am I going to come with full potency, I'm going to bring a lot of you along with me. So the people who are going to be born at the time of Krishna Avataram as the Vrishnis, as part of the Yadava clan, he says the Devas who are there, you all are also going to incarnate as the Yadavas, as the Vrishnis, right? And that clan, you are all going to be born. And the Deva Patnis who are there, who are all spiritually well developed, who are extremely knowledgeable, they are going to be born as the Gopikas. So because later on, when we're going to see the devotion of the Gopikas and the communication that Krishna does to the Gopikas, he reminds them, saying that you are all not just born here for the first time. You all have been praying to me for thousands of years. You all have the supreme knowledge. You all are here to support me as part of this avataram. So they are not, when we all think, oh, how fortunate they are fortunate because they've been doing this for thousands of years. They've been praying, so they're blessed. So he says, all of you will also be born along with me, will take incarnation along with me to support me in that avataram. So, Jane Dina Dashamaham, Divishadam Bhumesha Bhimair Nripaihi. So put a visarga and comma, Nripaihi. Next line that is goes away. Tat Kshepaya Bhavami Yadavakule, Soham Samagratmana. Janhe Dina Dashamaham Divishadam Bhumescha Bhimair Nripaihi. Takshepaya Bhavami Yadavakule Soham Samagratmana.
जाने दीनदशामहं विविशदां भूमेश्च भीमैनुपैः तक्षेपाय भवामि यादवकुले सोऽहं समग्रात्मना जाने दीनदशामहं दिविशदां भूमेश्च भीमैर्नुपैः तक्षेपाय भवामि यादवकुले सोऽहं समग्रात्मना
जाने दीनदाशमहं दिविशदां भूमेश्च भीमैर्नृपैः तत्क्षेपाय भवामि यादवकुले सोऽहं समग्रात्मना जाने दीनदशामहं दिविशदां भूमेश्च भीमैर्नृपैः तत्क्षेपाय भवामि यादवकुले सोऽहं समग्रात्मना
Deva Vrishnikule Bhavantu Kalaya, Devanganash Chavanau, Mat Sevartam iti Tvadiya Vachanam, Pato Jabhur Uchivan. If you want to break at that ru, you can do that. Pato Jabhur Uchivan. Or you can say it together. Pato Jabhur Uchivan. Deva Vrishnikule Bhavantu Kalaya Devanganaschavanav Matsevartamiti Tvadiya Vachanam Pato Jabhuruchivan.
देवा वृष्णिकुले भवन्तु कलया देवाङ्गनाश्चावनौ मत्सेवार्थमिति त्वदीयवचनं पाथोजभूरुचिवान् देवा वृष्णिकुले भवन्तु कलया देवाङ्गनाश्चावनौ मत्सेवार्थमिति त्वदीयवचनं पाथोजभूरुचिवान्
देवा वृष्णिकुले भवन्तु कलया नाश्चावनौ मत्सेवार्तमिति द्वितीयवचनं पातो जबूरुषिवान् देवा वृष्णिकुले भवन्तु कलया देवाङ्गनाश्चावनौ मत्सेवार्तमिति द्वितीयवचनं पातो जबूरुषिवान्.
Stanza 6. Shrutva karnarasayanam tava vachah sarveshu nirvapita swanteshvisha gateshu tabaka kripa piyusha triptatmasu vikyate madurapure kila bhavat sanidhya punyottare dhanyam devakanandanam udavahat raja shashuratmajah. So when they heard, number one, the Lord himself is going to be born to eradicate all these evil people. And two, the Devas also will get a chance to partially incarnate to support Krishna at the time, Narayana at the time. They were extremely happy. It was like Karna Rasayanam. It was like nectar to their ears. So they all felt very happy, and Brahma and the Devas kind of all go back to their respective places. So now we're going to fast forward. So now in the Dwapara Yuga, in this place called Madhura. So the Madhura, some people now it says Mathura, they say in English, but original word is Madhura, sweet like a honey, that place, right? So they used to say the honey used to flow in the streets. That's how sweet that place was. So Madhura, right? That's the right word to say, right way to say that. So that place is already a Punya Kshetram. Madhura, Vrindavan is already a Punya Kshetram because it comes in a lot of places. Even before Krishna Avataram happened, it's a great place. Now, of course, no need to say. Now, once Krishna is going to be incarnated there, it becomes even more religious and becomes even more of a Punya Kshetram. That entire region, which is called a Braj Bhumi, right? Madhura and Vrindavan, Gokulam, the tri-place area. So long time back in that area, so there the Yadava dynasty, the Yadu dynasty was going on, which is like we said, the Vrishni, the Devas had also partially incarnated, and the Yadava dynasty was going on, and there Madhura was the capital of the Yadavas there. So Vasudeva was one of them, who was the son of Shurasena. So and that in that clan, Vasudeva is now about to get married to Devaki in Madhura. So that's what we are fast forwarded to right now. Shushrutva karna rasayanam tava vachaha, sarveshu nirvapita, put a plus, swanteshvisha, and then a comma, gateshu tavaka kripa, piyusha triptatmasu, short u at the end. Shrutva karna rasayanam tava vachaha, sarveshu nirvapita swanteshvisha gateshu tavaka kripa piyusha triptatmasu.
श्रुत्वा कन्नरसायनं तव वचः सर्वेषु निर्वापितस्वान्तेष्वीश गतेषु तावक कृपापीयः शतृप्तास्मसु.
Piyusha. Last second.
पीयूषतृप्तात्मसु. श्रुत्वा कन्नरसायनं तव वचः सर्वेषु निर्वापितस्वान्तेष्वीश गतेषु तावक कृपा पीयूषतृप्तात्मसु.
श्रुत्वा कर्णरसायनं तव वचः सर्वेषु निर्वापितः स्वान्तेषु गतेषु तावक कृपा पीयूष तृप्तात्मसु. श्रुत्वा कर्णरसायनं तव वचः सर्वेषु निर्वापितः स्वान्तेषु गतेषु तावक कृपा पीयूष तृप्तात्मसु.
The first line after vachaha, there is a pause. Second line after swanteshvisha. Okay, there's a pause.
Okay, thank you.
Vikyate madhurapure, comma, kila bhavat sanidhya punyottare, comma, dhanyam devaka nandanam. You can break it that move if you want. Devaka nandanam udavahat raja sa shuratmajaha. I just broke all those things, so it's easy to say it. Devaka nandanam udavahat raja sa shuratmajaha. Vikyate madhurapure kila bhavat sanidhya punyotare dhanyam devakanandanam udavahat raja sasuratmajah.
विख्याते मधुरापुरे किल भवत्सान्निध्यपुण्योत्तरे धन्यां देवकनन्दनामुदवहत् राजा सशूरात्मजः विख्याते मधुरापुरे किल भवत्सान्निध्यपुण्योत्तरे धन्यां देवकनन्दनामुदवहत् देवकनन्दनामुदवहत् सशूरात्मजः
विख्याते मधुरापुरे किल भवत्सान्निध्य पुण्योदरे धन्यां देवकनन्दनाम् उदवहद्राजस
Shuratmajah.
सूरात्मजः विख्याते मधुरापुरे किल भवत्सान्निध्य पुण्योदरे धन्यां देवकनन्दनाम् उदवहद्राजस सूरात्मजः.
Okay, we'll just switch halfway. Mridula, you can be a joint student, and Shashireka, you can be a student. Stanza 7. Udvaha vasitau tadiya sahajah kamsota sammanayenne yetau sutataya gatah patirate vyomotaya twadgira अस्यास्त्वामति दुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः सन्त्रासात् स तु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमधात्. So that's when the marriage happens between Dhanyam Devaka Nandanam. So Devaka was the name of the king. Another name of the king instead of Ugrasena is Devaka. So for him, daughter Devaki. So the marriage is happening between Devaki and Vasudeva. So at the time when the marriage had just gotten over, so at the time Kamsa, who's the brother of Devaki, so he's the oldest son of this Ugrasena. So he then decides, he's in love with his sister Devaki. So he says the best way for me to show my affection to the sister, he says, is I'm going to honor my sister and my brother-in-law on the day of their marriage. He says the charioteer who's driving their chariot, he says, you get down. I myself am going to become a charioteer, right? Because charioteer is like, it's like a menial job, right? But he comes and says, no, I am going to do it, right? Because I love my sister so much. So he then becomes the charioteer. He takes charge of the reins of the horses, and then he's surrounded by all the things that they're going to be giving to Devaki, chariots and gold and everything else. And they all start driving towards the palace. So when Kamsa starts driving the chariot towards the palace, at that time he hears an ashariri vak. Ashariri means something which you are hearing, but ashariram, it doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a, like, you don't know who is talking because I cannot see a form, but I'm able to hear it. So Kamsa hears that. It says, Twam ati dushtam. That ashariri vak says, you are such a wicked person, O Kamsa. But not only are you, which everybody knows. It says you are extremely wicked, which everybody knows. But he says you are also a foolish person. He says the reason it says you are a foolish person is you are now going and carrying in chariot the person whose eighth child, Ashtama Garbham. In the original in Bhagavatam, it doesn't say son or daughter, okay? It says Ashtama Garbham. It says the eighth Garbham, with what is going to come out of the eighth Garbham, that person is going to be your killer. And without knowing that, you are taking that Devaki and Vasudeva, and you are actually offering them so much respect. So not only are you evil, you are also a very foolish person. So that's what this Ashariri Vak is actually telling. And we'll see why it had to tell, because there's a reason for all of these things to happen, right? So when Kamsa, who was driving this chariot, the moment he heard it, right, instantly he changed. He then decided, what, if that my sister's eighth child is going to kill me, then I'm not going to let that happen. So instantly he lets go the chariot, the reins of the horse, and then he holds Devaki by her hair, and then he takes up his sword on the right hand. So Udvaha vasitau tadiya sahajaha, kamsota sammanayan, put a in at the end of that line, comma. Next line, if you have an in and a ne, you can remove both. Just put a. Etau Sutataya Gataha, put a F, Gatah Patirate, comma, Vyomothaya Twadgira. So Mitlaji and Shashirika, just say one time for the next few stanzas. Okay, I want to finish
Okay.
till 38.3 today.
Sure.
उद्वाहा वसितौ तदीय सहजः कंसोत सम्मानयन् ये तौ सूततया गतः पतिरते व्योमोत्थया त्वद्गिरा.
उद्वाहावसितौ तदीयसहजः कंसोत सम्मानयन् एतौ सूततया गतः पतिरते व्योमोत्तया त्वद्गिरा.
उद्वाहा वसितौ तदीयसहजः कंसोऽथ सम्मानयन् एतौ सूततया गतः पथिरते व्योमोऽथया त्वद्गिरा.
अस्यास् त्वाम् अति दुष्टम अष्टम सुतो. If you want to break it, त्वाम् अति दुष्टम अष्टम सुतो, comma, हन्तेति हन्तेरितः, comma, संत्रासात् सतु हन्तुम् अन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीम् अधात्. So that last line is continuous, no pause. अस्यास्त्वाम् अतिदुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः संत्रासात् सतु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमधात्.
अस्या त्वाम् अतितुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेदि हन्तेरितः सन्त्रासात् सतु हन्तुमतिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमतात्.
अस्यास्त्वामतिदुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः सन्त्रासात् सतु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमधात्.
Stanza 8. गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां खलमितिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोतयातो गृहान् आद्यं त्वत्सहजं ततार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देवपुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कथा. So in a fraction of a second, Kamsa's mind changed, right? So he was taking so much good care of them. In a fraction of the moment he realized that his life was at risk, his original form came, right? So he decided to go cut Devaki's head off. So it was all happened in a fraction of a second. So although Kamsa was about to kill Devaki, so Vasudeva at that point, right, he still remains very calm and unagitated, right? Because when somebody is doing that, the natural reaction is for you also to get angry and take your sword and get into a fight. But Vasudeva realizes that with Kamsa, I cannot win, right? I cannot win in a fight. So he remains very calm, and in a very peaceful way, he stops Kamsa and says, Kamsa, you are like the pride of the family. You are the Bhoja Raja. You are the heir apparent, right? You are going to be the next king of the Bhoja dynasty. And there are so many people here who praise about your greatness. Everybody knows you are the strongest, right? There's nobody is going to even attempt to fight with you. Everybody realizes that. But how can, and you're also such an intelligent person, but how can you try to kill your own sister, that too on the day of her wedding? He says, this is not going to look good, because she's a younger sister to you, and a younger sister to you for the elder brother is like a daughter. So he says, it's like as if you're going and killing your daughter, right? When you're supposed to take so much good care of her. So he says, it doesn't appear good for you, right? As a king or to be king, to be able to actually go do this. So Vasudeva kind of calms Kamsa down a little. But Kamsa is not about to give up, right? You cannot defeat him physically. At the same time, you can't calm him down with words also, because he cares about his life more. So when Vasudeva realizes that this Kamsa is not going to, stop, he's going to go forward with it. He then thinks, you know what? There are so many things which can happen in the future. He says, maybe this Ashariri Vaku which said may not even happen. Maybe I won't even get any children with Devaki. That's a possibility. Maybe Kamsa might die on his own even before my 8th child is actually born. And for who, and maybe all of this may not happen. And worst case, even if it happens, maybe my 8th child will eventually get rid of Kamsa, in which case Vasudeva thinks there's no problem for me, right? It is all taken care of. So, but his main point was, how do I avoid this immediate threat that Kamsa is actually happening, and then push this thing to later and then see what actually happens. So Vasudeva then goes and tells Kamsa that, you don't have to worry, right? Because of us, nothing is going to happen. He says the moment our children are born, no matter what, boy or girl, whatever is born, I will immediately come and hand it over to you, right? And then you decide, Kamsa, what you want to do with it. So when Kamsa thinks about this argument, he says, you know what? Yeah, that's true. If the eighth child is going to kill me, why do I have to worry about it right now? Why do I have to get rid of Devaki right now and kill her, right? It doesn't look good. It's the child that's going to cause me the problem. That to the eighth child that's going to cause me the problem. So he says, that's fine. He then pacifies Kamsa, then agrees to it, and then says, okay, Devaki, Vasudeva, you all go back. So here Bhattaripat says very nicely that even in the Dushtas, sometimes there are some good qualities that happen. They have this calmness of mind which Kamsa gets, and then he tells to Devaki and Vasudeva, you all go back, I won't do anything. So Grinna Nash Chikureshu Tam Khalamatihi, Saureshchiram Santvanaihi. So put a visarga and comma there. Next word on top of the no, there is a ir that goes away. No munchan punar atmajarpanagira, Pritota yato grihan. Grandhanaschikureshu tam khalamatihi saureshchiram santvanaihi no munchan punaratmajarpanagira Pritota yato grihan.
गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां कलमतिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्दनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोऽथ यादो गृहान्.
गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां खलमतिः सौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोऽथ यातो गृहान्.
Adyam tvat sahajam tatharpitamapi, snehena nahannasau, dushtanamapi deva pushta karuna, drishtahi dhirekada. Actually, I forgot to say. So after that, Kamsa agrees, and then the first child is born. He lets go Vasudeva Devaki, and Adyam Tvat Sahajam, the first of your brother, is born. So when the first brother is born, then Vasudeva, as promised, he goes and gives it to Kamsa and say, look, I told you, that what do you call? I'll give you the thing with child the moment it is born. And of course, Kamsa, when he looked at the first child, he says it's because it's his nephew, right? So the moment he holds the child in his hands, he then says, what am I thinking of? How can I get rid of my nephew, right? This small child, how is this going to kill me? So that's why he gets very calm, and then he lets that first child go. So Adyam Sahajam Tatharpitamapi Snehena Nahannasau Dushtanamapi Deva Pushta Karuna Drishtahi Dhire Kada.
आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्ट्वा हि धीरे गदा.
The last line, drishta, not drishtva. Drishta hi dhire kada.
Drishta hi dhire gada. Thank you.
आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कदा.
That's a line. तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारदमुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरं यूयं नन्वसुरासुराश्च यदवो जाह्नासि किं न प्रभो मायावी स हरिर्भवद्मदकृते भावीसुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्य यदूनधूदुनदसौ सौरेश्च सूनूनहन्. So we'll see all along in Krishnavataram. There's one very important character in Sri Narada who has to come. So Narada's role is so important that at various points, right? And we saw even in the Prachetas's case, etc. I mean, he thinks that things are not going in the right direction as intended. Narada's duty is to come and then steer it back in the right way, right? So here, Narada, because Kamsa is letting go of the first child, right? He cannot let go of the first child because there's a big story that's going to come later. So Narada then approaches Kamsa and says, because of your wishing only, O Krishna, Narada approaches Kamsa and says that, in the Kamsa, you don't realize this. All of you and a lot of other people are creating great havoc on earth. And Narada is very frank and very upfront. He says, all of you are there, so you don't realize that Hari himself has decided that he is going to take an avataram to get rid of you. And to support Hari, all these devas who are there are also incarnating, and they're all going to be supporting Hari. So you can't just let this child go like this, because you don't know, and Hari is a trickster. You never know. He might have said number 8, but how do you know the number 1 is not Hari? Maybe he's just lying to you, right? So when Narada comes and then creates this doubt in Kamsa's mind. So Kamsa, says, yeah, all these people are bound to get me, right? All these devas are incarnated, and maybe Narayana is going to play a trick to me. So fearing his death, what he does is, he initially let go Vasudeva and Devaki. Now he says, no, I'm going to start chaining them. I'm going to put them in jail. So he then puts Vasudeva and Devaki in jail, and then he kills the first child. Not only does he kill the first child, he kills the next 6 children who are born to Vasudeva and Devaki. So every year a child is born. And every year a child is born, Vasudeva comes and gives it to Kamsa. And Kamsa then just gets rid of the child because he doesn't know which child is going to be Narayana. And then he also imprisons his father also, and he takes over the kingdom. So this is happening over a period of time. So Tavat Twan Manasaiva Narada Munihi, Proche Sa Bhojeshwaram, Yuyam Nanvasuraha, put is Nanvasuras, Surascha Yadavo, Janasi Kim Na Prabho. Tavat Twan Manasaiva Narada Munihi, Proche Sa Bhojeshwaram, Yuyam Nanvasura Surascha Yadavo, Janasi Kim Na Prabho.
Tavat tvanmanasasaiva narada munihi proche sa bhojeshwaram yuyam nanvasura surascha yadavo janasi kim na prabho.
Tavat vanmanasaiva narada munihi proche sa bhojeshwaram yuyam nanvasurasurascha yadavo janasi kim na prabho.
Mayavi sa harid bhavat vadakrite, bhavi sura prartanath, put a it prartanath, next line the ditya becomes itya, itya karnya yaduna dhudu nadasau, cannot break that word. So yaduna dhudu nadasau, shaureshcha sununahan. Mayavi saharir bhavat madakrite bhavi sura prartanate itya karnya yaduna dudhuna dasau shaureshcha sununahan.
Mayavi saharir bhavadvadakrite bhavi sura prartanat ityakarnayaduna dudunadasau shaureshcha sununahan.
Mayavi saharir bhavat vadhakrite bhavi suraprarthanat ityakarnya yaduna dudhuna dasau shaureshcha sununahan.
That's it. Prapte saptama garbhata mahipatau tvatpreranaan mayaya nite madhavaruhini tvamapi bho satyatsukaikatmakah devakya jhataram viveshita vibho samstuyamanas suraihi satvam krishna vidhuya roga patalim bhaktim param dehi me. So much meaning in this. That's why we're kind of saying one time, because I want to get to that main incarnation event happening today. So 6 children are now killed, right? So at that time, so like we said, whenever Lord appears, he brings along all of the surrounding people, right? So the first person he then says is, one of my incarnation himself, a plenary, a partial incarnation of Narayana himself, which is Adishesha, because that is also an incarnation. So that Adishesha is now born, is entering into the Devaki's Jhataram, in Devaki's womb as the 7th child, right? So that's now coming Saptama Garbhatam. So it's going in as a 7th child. Adishesha now enters Devaki's womb. So at the same time, the Yoga Maya, which is the spiritual energy of Lord Narayana. She's always there with Narayana anytime Narayana is there. They cannot be separated, which is kind of what Devi Mahatmya, for those you know, also refers to her as Yoga Maya. You're always tied in with Narayana. You cannot separate. So she's there to create all these illusions and everything, right? So the instruction is given to Yoga Maya that this seventh child, which is actually getting into Devaki's Garbham, has to be transferred over to Vasudeva. Has several wives, but one of he's living with Devaki, but he has other wives who Nanda Gopa is taking care of them in Gokulam. So one of them is Rohini. So the instruction is given to Yoga Maya that you have to transfer this embryo, this the child which is in this embryo of Devaki, into the womb of Rohini. And then this child has to be born in the womb of Rohini. So with that instructions, Yoga Maya transfers the seventh child from Devaki to Rohini. So now that transfer has happened. So because at this time, so now because the Krishna says Balarama first goes there, kind of sets everything up, and then I'm going to come, right? So when the child is then completely transferred, what happens to Devaki? Because she was carrying a baby, right? So it appears like she had a miscarriage because this got transferred. The baby has got transferred now. So she has a miscarriage. So at the time, Vasudeva and Devaki, the Kamsa comes asking what has actually happened. So everybody says, it's a very sad state. Devaki had a miscarriage. So whatever the seventh child she was carrying is born dead or did not even get born, right? So this is still counted as 7, but the child was never born. So Kamsa says, okay, fine, right? Seventh child is also gone. I don't have to worry. So now when the time has come, so of course Krishna is an incarnation, so he cannot go through like how we are, like in the womb, sit for 9 or 10 months, right? So how it happens is the energy of the Lord is first transferred into Vasudeva's mind. So Vasudeva goes through a series of meditation. First it goes into Vasudeva's mind, and then from Vasudeva, that energy is transferred to Devaki. And then here, Devakya Jhataram Viveshita Vibho. So Lord, you, O Lord, then enter into the womb of Devaki, right? Through Vasudeva's mind, that energy is actually transferred into Devaki. And we saw how when Diti was carrying, this was in the 11th Dashakam, 11th Dashakam, when Diti was carrying Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, there was so much heat coming that the Asuras felt that Devas felt that something is going to go wrong, right? Pregnant women in general look very, glowing. The moment Krishna himself is there in Devaki's womb, she was just absolutely glowing. So the glowing to the extent that Kamsa felt, what? I think this is it, right? All the 7 children who I had to unnecessarily kill was of no use, because by looking at Devaki, I can say that she has actually changed now, right? Because she's absolutely glowing, because the Lord himself is there inside her stomach. So at that time, it is a very nice thing in Bhagavatam where the Devas, everybody come to first pray. They first come and say, oh Lord, you are ready to take an incarnation. We can see that by looking at Devaki. So they all come to the prison. Of course, Devaki, Vasudeva don't know that, and they come and they offer prayers to Devaki and to Krishna there. So prapte saptama garbhatam ahipatau, tvat preranan mayaya, put a plus, nite madhava rohinim, twamapi bhoho, is there put a is bhos, satchit sukhaikatmakaha. Prapte saptama garbhatam ahipatau, त्वत्प्रेरणान् मायया नीते माधवरोहिणी त्वमपि भो सच्चित्सुखैकात्मकः.
प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भताम् अहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणा मायया नीते माधव रोहिणीं त्वमपि सच्चिल सुखैकात्मकः.
That first line is a comma after ahipatau. Okay.
Thank you.
प्राप्ते सप्तम गर्भतामहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणान् मायया नीते माधव रोहिणीं त्वमपि भो सच्चित्सुखैकात्मकः.
Devakya Jataram Viveshita Vibho, Samstuyamanaha, put is Samstuyamana Suraihi, Sa Tvam Krishna Vidhuya Roga Patalim, Bhaktim Param Dehime. Says, oh Krishna, one who entered into the womb of Devaki, please eradicate all the diseases and everything I have, and bhaktim param dehi me, and also give to me supreme devotion towards you. देवक्या झटरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः स त्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे.
देवक्या जठरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपडलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे.
देवक्या जठरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्वं कृष्णवधूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे.
So Shrika, that last line, Vidhuya Roga Patalim. I think some word you said different. Vidhuya
Vidhuya
Roga.
Roga Okay.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Go to Dasakam 38. This is Krishna Avatar Varnam. Ananda Rupa Bhagavannaite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bavadhanga Niriyamanaihi Kante Brajairi Vaghana Mandalaidyam Avrunvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela. So we'll talk in stanza 2 a little bit more about the scenario before Krishna is born. But here it just starts off by saying, again, Ananda Rupa Bhagavan, the one who is again bliss personified. When the time of your incarnation is happening, when the time is approaching for you to begin incarnate, so at that time it was rainy season, it starts raining. So when it starts raining, what happens is dark clouds come along, right? He says the dark clouds, gray clouds which are there, was an indication of the form that you are going to be taking. So that was beginning to already indicate, okay, that is the form, that is the color that the Krishna is going to be born in. And then the shining, when there was clouds and there's lightning, right? So then the lightning that is there is the indication again that, the brilliance of you. So think of it as a lighting that is happening in the clouds, and saying in all of this dark age, Krishna, you're going to be born in that color, and you're going to be the light who is going to save everybody. It's beginning to indicate all of that. So Ananda Rupa Bhagavannai Tevatare, Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriya Manehi Kanti Brajairiva Ghanagana Mandalair Dhyam, put a im at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the ma becomes a. Avrunvati Viruruche Kila Parshavela. Ananda Rupa Bhagavannaite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriyamanaihi Kantivrajairi Vaghana Mandalaidyam Avrunvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela.
आनन्दरूप भगवन्नयिते वतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीप्तभवदङ्ग निरीयमाणैः कान्तिव्रजैरिव घनाघनमण्डलैर्द्याम् आवृण्वति विरिरुचे किल वर्षवेला.
Anandarupa Bhagavannayite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriyamanaihi Kantivrajairiva Ghana Ghana Mandalaityam Avrinvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela.
That's a 2. Asha Sushitalatara Supayodato Yehi Asha Sitapti Vivasheshu Cha Sajjaneshu Naisha Karodhaya Vidhau Nishimadhyamaya Klesha Pahastri Jagatam Tumiha Virasi. So when the auspicious time appears for the Lord to now take the incarnation, so of course, if Krishna himself is going to be born, the entire universe was like, there was like a supercharge of goodness, right? So everything was beginning to feel very good. And the astrological, at the time, the Rohini was the predominant nakshatram at the time. And it talks about, how the water was beginning to flow very nicely in the rivers. Everything was beginning to blossom. Although it was the middle of the night, everything was beginning to look very nice. The birds and everything in the forest, everybody begins to realize that, okay, something important is going to happen. So the peacocks all begin to dance. Breeze that is actually flowing becomes very pleasant. And everything is beginning to become the saints who are there. They start feeling in their mind that something is going to become very good now, because they are beginning to sense some extreme positivity that is actually happening there. So at that time, when Nishi Madhyamayam, when the night was at its peak, right, and the Rohini is Nakshatram, and the night was at its peak, you, the Klesha Pahas Tri Jagatam, the one who is the eliminator of sorrows of all the three words, you then incarnated. Tvam Tomiha Virasihi. You then incarnated as the Lord, Krishna at that time. Ashasu Shitala Tarasu Payoda Toyehi. Put a Visarga comma. Next line, the Ra becomes A. Ashasitapti Vivasheshu Cha Sajjaneshu Naishakarodhaya Vidhau Nishi Madhyamayam, comma, Kleshapahas Trijagatam Tvomiha Virasihi. Asha Sushitalatarasu Payodatoyehi Ashasitapti Vivasheshu Cha Sajjaneshu Naishakarodaya Vidhau Nishi Madhyamayam Kleshapahas Trijagatam Tvomiha Virasihi.
Asha sushitalatarasu payodatoyaihi asha sitapti vivasheshu chad sajjaneshu naisha karodaya vithau nishimadhyamayam kleshapahastrijakatam tvamiha virasihi.
Ashasu Shithalatarasu Payodatoyaihi Ashasitapti Vivasheshu Cha Sajjaneshu Naishakarodaya Vidhau Nishi Madhyamayam Kleshapahastri Jagatam Tvamiha Vidasihi.
This is the main stanza where the Krishna Avataram is happening. So after this, I'm going to chant Narayana 16 times in a particular way, so you all can make a note of that. You don't have to say. And then I'm going to chant that script which I told you all to write. So that is from Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains the birth of Krishna, which is in stanza 3 of Narayaneeyam. But we'll cover this today, and then we'll cover the stanza 3 next time. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Tamadbudam bhalakamambujekshadham chaturbhujankagadadyudhayudham Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubham Pitambaram sandrapayodasaubham Maharhavaidurya kirita kundala tvisha parishvakta sahasrakuntalam Uddamakanchangada kankanadibihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. She talks very beautifully about when the birth happens. So when baby is born, we see a really small baby, that the doctor then gives in your hands, right? It's really small, but that's not what Vasudeva saw. So what Vasudeva saw was something which was totally different, which is what is explained here. It says that Adbhutam Bhalakam. It was a child which was not an ordinary child. It was an astonishing, magnificent Adbhuta Bhalakam who was, and I'm going to talk through each of these things, what he says, right? So one who had Ambuja Akshanam, whose eyes were lotus-like. So when you take the lotus petals, so you know how it is perfectly formed. So you had very beautiful lotus petals-like eyes. Chaturbhujam, you were not born as a normal baby, you were born with Chaturbhujam, and in that you had the Shankam, Chakram, Gada, Padmam in each of those 4 hands. Then Srivatsa Lakshmam, in your chest was the Srivatsa mark. Then Galashobi Kaustubam, on your neck was the necklace with the Kaustuba money jewel in there. Pitambaram, you were dressed in a yellow color at the bottom. And Sandra Payoda Saubhagam, the color of the body, the rest of the body was like we talked earlier, what about a dark rain-bearing clouds, the dark gray color clouds. And you had hair, very well-grown hair when you were actually born. And then you were wearing a crown which was there, which had a valuable, that Vaiduriam is like the tiger's eye. So it's got like a jewel or a gem, which is like the eye of a tiger. And then you were actually very well decorated all over the body. So you were not born as a normal child. You were born as a child who was actually with 4 arms standing in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. We'll cover a lot of this in the next class of what happens and how they are able to see it. But here we'll just break through this this particular thing and we'll stop. So tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam, comma, chaturbhuj.
In the stanza there, because I don't.
Oh, I sent a text on WhatsApp to
Okay,
copy.
okay. I saw that.
Yeah. So you have to just write that down after this, and then we'll say this. So Chaturbhujam Shanka Gadayudhadyudam Srivatsa Lakshmam Gala Shobhi Kaustubham, comma, Pitambaram Sandra Payoda Saubhagam. Tamadbhutam Balakamam Bhujekshanam Chaturbhujam Shanka Gadayudhadyudam Srivatsa Lakshmam Galashobhi Kaustubham Pitambaram Sandra Payoda Saubhagam.
Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chadurbhujam shankagadarudyayudham Srivalsalakshmangalashopikaustubham Pidambaram Sandrapayoda Saubhagam.
The second line, the best way to break it is Shanka Gatat Yudhayudham.
Can you repeat that, Rajesh, please?
Shanka Gatat Gadat Yudhayudham.
Thank you.
Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shankagadadyudayudham Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubham Pitambaram sandrapayoda saubhagam.
Maharha Vaidhurya Kirita Kundala, and then put a plus, Tvisha Parishwakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchyangada Kankanadibihi. So put a visarga and comma there, Kankanadibihi, comma. Next time we'll have a ir that goes away. Birochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishwakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchyangada Kankanadibihi Birochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
Maharha Vaidurya Kirida Kuntalatvisha Parishwakta Sahasra Kundalam Uddhama Kanjangada Kanganatipihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aishata.
Aikshata.
Aikshata.
Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundalatvisha Parishwakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uttama Kanchyangada Kankanadibhir Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
And the Kankana, the bir, you make it Kankana, the
Yes.
and then a
Okay.
comma. Okay.
Yes.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. We'll end here today. The third stanza of Narayaneeyam is explaining the same thing, which we'll cover in the next class. Sandhranandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurpurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam janata कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत्किञ्चित् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji.
Bye, everyone.